Well, welcome back to Through the Eyes of Survivors. When someone we love is taken from us too soon, we cling to pieces of what they left behind. And sometimes that is photos or a favorite piece of jewelry or even the sound of their laughter that's captured in a voicemail. But every now and then we stumble across something more, something that feels like their voice is like reaching across time to remind us that they are not gone and not completely, in that space and time. And for some families, it's journals. For others, it's unfinished letters. Sometimes it's stories and stories they're writing, things that they're journaling, dreaming, hoping uh, would one day see the light of day. Their words become more than ink on paper, and they become a living legacy, a way of carrying a part of them forward. Everything else has been silenced, but that lives. So today we're going to hear about two sisters who lost their mother, Jill Bartholomew, and what they are doing to become a living legacy for their mother. Uh, it's a way of carrying a part forward with them every day, and everything else that they do has been silenced up until this point, but they are moving forward. So today we'll hear about two sisters who lost their mom and but later discovered the manuscripts she left behind. And in those pages, they didn't just find her imagination, they found her voice, her spirit, right? Her dream of becoming an author. And through sharing her work with the world, they found a way to continue her story. So thank you for joining.
Important notice: the following content may be triggering. Viewer discretion is advised. All discussions are based on personal opinions and experiences. If you or someone you know needs help, please reach out to a local support organization.
Oh, wonderful. Now we're back. Before we get into our discussion, I do have to plug our affiliates real quick. So, TrueFinder, if you want something to really empower your journey, to help you uncover public records and background information about the people you may encounter in your life, TruthFinder is definitely the tool. Whether you're reconnecting with someone for your past or you just want to ensure the people around you are trustworthy, TruthFinder provides you with the information you need to make informed decisions. And definitely here at Break the Silence Against Domestic Violence and Through the Eyes of Survivors, we are all about creating those safe spaces and giving survivors the tools that they need to reclaim their power. So we're excited to share Truth Finder with you. Try it out, and it helps support our podcast if you go in and visit through the link that we provide. And we thank you for supporting our mission with that. Of course, Opus Clips is an AI driven platform that turns powerful podcasts like we have today into short, impactful clips. We use it from survivor stories to all kinds of things. So, Opus Clip helps amplify that voice. If you want to turn your content into something like that, try Opus Clips. We have a link provided. And our last affiliate is the Self Defense Keychain Store. It is a woman and minority owned business that is committed to empowering individuals with practical, discreet, and stylish self defense tools. By shopping through our affiliate link, you're not only investing in your personal safety, you're also supporting our mission and helping to raise awareness about domestic violence. So use the code Break the Silence for 10% off when you make your purchase. All right, now that we got all that out of the way, joining me today are two remarkable sisters, Molly Johnson and Jessie. And Molly lives in Salem, Oregon with her husband and two children, while Jessie lives in Eugene, Oregon with her husband and four kids. And together they are carrying forward the legacy of their mother, Jill, a woman whose life was tragically cut short by domestic violence, but has left behind these manuscripts filled with her heart and imagination. And Molly and Jessie are now on a journey to share their mother's words with the world, ensuring Jill's voice is never forgotten, right? So thank you, ladies. We welcome you for coming.
Thank you.
Wonderful. So just briefly, as much as you are comfortable with talking about, can you I'd love to, in these moments, for you to share your mother first, like who she was, what she meant to you, what stood out that you would want people to know about your mom.
You want to go first? Gosh, I don't know. I feel like it's such a loaded question. Like, how much time do we have? But I think our mom was, I mean, I don't want to like reduce her identity to just a mom, but she loved being a mom and I think was really good at it. So she grew up with three sisters. There were four girls, and so she was surrounded by girls, and then she had two girls, and so it's kind of fun that that's like such a deep part of our family history. But she just was the best. I don't know. She was funny and witty and loyal and thoughtful. She was really sarcastic and she was really smart and just genuinely someone that I loved to be around and miss dearly every day.
Yes. And your
turn. Like she said it all, right? I think she was our safe place. She felt really steady and calm and I don't know, we just kind of hold her up on this pedestal of she just was who we kind of base the rest of our life around. But she also, like Molly said, she was witty and sarcastic. She was really funny. This morning when I was getting ready to do this, I didn't have time to like wash my hair and do all the things. I was like, this is live and I'm going to look stupid. And
you look great.
A classic, like, if I didn't like my school picture on picture day, my mom would say, well, that's what you looked like. And she would never do the retakes. And so today when I was getting ready, I was like, well, that's what you look like.
Isn't it funny how memories like that pop up at times that you really least expect them, but at the same time, it's like, it's a comfort in a way sometimes. So yeah. I totally understand. So for the viewers, I know they're going to want to know what happened with your mom. So, just whatever you're comfortable telling us on what happened to her that led to her death.
Go for it.
I think over time, specifically in the last few months, our understanding of what happened has changed drastically. I think we kind of formed a narrative of it being an event, and there were multiple events, but it's like they seemed kind of, to me, like my mom, it was Molly's dad who killed our mom. So my mom married him. He moved in when I was 6. So through the eyes of a child, it's like these specific weird events happened and then just like a general feeling of discomfort around him. But I don't know. So then the narrative was, it was like an event that happened. But in the last, I would say over the summer, but specifically in the last even, I don't know, few weeks, our understanding of the depth of what happened and how intricate it all was has like, it's kind of like we're learning it all over again, which has been really weird. You know, I'm 41, Molly's 31. It's like a weird time to be like, oh, I remember that event, but that's not, my 6-year-old brain didn't log it how it maybe happened, you know? And so anyways, he was really manipulative, verbally abusive, emotionally abusive. I can just remember, like, as a kid, his car pulling up in the driveway and just this like dread in my belly, like, but it's not like he was drinking and like beating the crap out of my mom in front of me or something, but it was like this almost just like evil, like it was just a bad feeling without words to really describe it or necessarily examples to give. So like if I did speak up to someone, it was like, oh yeah, that's kind of weird. But like the depth of what it felt like to be in his presence is really hard to articulate. And so because of that, I kind of dismissed that for a long time, like, and learned almost not to trust, like, am I being dramatic? Is this really that bad? Or is he actually mean? Is he like, and then I would feel guilty for feeling bad feelings towards him. I don't know. It was just all kinds of messed up. But, and so then there were a few like intense incidents that happened where, you know, there was a restraining order when I was 12 and Molly was 2. He grabbed her throat and said he was going to kill me and people that my mom loved and take Molly away. And and I don't know, like, how in depth we all want to go into this. But I mean, it was really like I was keeping doors locked. My mom was keeping the other door locked. He was going back and forth between the doors until she looked at me and told me just to run. And I ran to the neighbor's house and we got help. But then, like, he moved out for a little while and then life moved on and it was like it didn't happen. And he moved back in and we didn't talk about it ever again. And I developed really severe OCD and undiagnosed stomach issues, like within weeks of this incident, and have spent the rest of my entire life feeling crazy. Like, why does my stomach hurt all the time? Why am I developed like a phobia of throwing up, like why? And there was nobody to help me understand trauma and your body's response to that. And so I have felt like it took a very long time for me to understand that I even had trauma. I felt like that was too much to claim. I was like, I mean, people say that willy-nilly. We all have problems, you know, like whatever, I'm fine. And then things like kind of calmed down for a little while, still just like minor discomforts and stuff like that. But it escalated to when she was trying to leave for real. You know, he essentially was stalking her and our family, unscrewing light bulbs, getting keys made for our house. He quit his job and moved in across we had a park in front of our house, so he moved in across the park. And would just watch her. He would follow her through the grocery store, be outside of the parking lot at work when she would come home. I don't know. It's so hard to like.
It's hard to articulate it.
It's so hard to articulate. And it's like, do you want to sit here for an hour?
Yeah, you experienced it as a child. So it was hard to articulate then. And that really, I have found, doesn't just because you get older doesn't mean it makes it easier at all, at all. Because I still process a lot of my childhood trauma a little different than what I did my adult trauma. So, dealing with that childhood trauma, your children are, I believe, when we have trauma as children, we're more resilient in some ways, but we carry the baggage a lot longer, and it's a
Yeah.
lot harder to articulate, hey, this is what is creating this, because you couldn't articulate it. That's just my personal belief, because you couldn't
Right.
articulate it as a child. So it makes it
Or control it.
hard. Yeah.
Yeah. There's no control. Like for my own, my fight or flight is insanely flight. And it's like, I can feel the feelings of a kid. Like when my mom told me to run and the like freedom I finally had to get myself out of there, I was like gone. Where I look back and I'm like, how could I have left? How could I, like, she was in danger, but I was like, you say I can go, I am gone. And I am like that 100, like if you're choking, you don't want me. I'm like, someone's choking, get me out of here. I can't see this. But my flight is just overpowers all of my senses. And I feel like that's just from my lack of control of my own safety and security. And while all that was going on, I think another layer that made it so confusing for us was my mom felt really safe and steady and calm. And so it's like, oh, this really strange thing is happening, but she feels really good. And so it's like this funny, like, is something bad really? How, like, are we in danger? Are we not in danger? I don't know. It's so like weeding through that as an adult has been really interesting. Like validating myself, like, oh, actually, we actually were in danger. That was real. I wasn't being dramatic or exaggerating. So that's been really validating in the last few months to be like, to finally, Molly's been on a mission to get all court documents and all these things and to see stuff in writing, like, oh, I didn't exaggerate that story. In fact, it was worse than what I remember or what I knew of this situation. And so I feel like that's been good because even at the end, I told a couple of people, one being my dad, who I have, anyways, one being my dad, like, I don't think he's going to stop. Like, he's going to kill her. And to the point that I was in college, I was driving home every night after work. It was in the summer, but I was driving home after work and I would sleep at my mom's because I was like, this is not going well. This doesn't feel right. And like my dad's response was like, he's not going to kill her. People that are, he's just making a show. He just wants to scare you or whatever. And so again, feeling like, oh, I'm maybe exaggerating or maybe making a bigger deal than needs to be made. But then seeing like a knife under her pillow or locks on the window, I'm like, well, something is like, I don't think I'm exaggerating. But yeah, like at the end, it was like, this isn't going away. This is not getting better. And so then he did he somehow would get keys made to our house. We're not exactly sure how he would always do it. And then he would like leave a window, like, he'd like come in through a window and leave it open, or he would leave a note on the counter so we were sure to know that he had found a way to get in. And so the last time we had the locks changed again, and he got a key made, cut our phone cords, let our dog out. Molly was at a sleepover for her birthday party was the next morning. We have the same birthday. Our birthday was the day before. 10 years apart.
It's very easy for your mama. I'll say the birthday party.
And so random.
I'm fine if you're 10 years apart because I have sisters that are It's a different kind of birthday party for someone who's 10 years older than the little one.
Yeah, I didn't really have birthday parties after she came along. But anyways, and I had been sleeping with my mom that night. I had been sleeping with her most of the summer. I had been sleeping with her that night. I woke up around 1 and went and got in my bed, and I woke up around 4:30 and her bedroom door was closed, but I had left it open. And so I knew that something was, like, my heart was beating. I knew something was wrong. And I'm not positive, but I think I heard, I don't know what I heard. Like, my thought was like, is the TV on? But it was 4:30. And so I was like confused. Anyways, luckily I had my cell phone because he had cut our phone cords, and I was trying to call, like, I had my phone calling 911, but I also was trying to call, like, for personal help. I didn't want to be there alone, but I couldn't. And so he he locked her bedroom door. She had a door that went to our backyard, which is how he came in. And he ended up shooting her 3 times. And then he went back to his house and shot himself. And killed himself.
Yes, I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it really was the worst.
I know how that sucks. I know how that sucks. I'm so sorry. How old were you?
I had just turned 21 the day before. She had just turned 11.
Yeah, that's too young.
Yeah. And afterwards, honestly, it's like, I got married really soon after that. We adopted Molly. We're like 2 22-year-olds buying a house, raising a 12-year-old. And I kind of thought things were fine. It's like, we're fine. People kept saying we're so strong. I'm like, yeah, we are so strong. And then I just feel like, I don't know, after a while, it was like, I just started realizing that I wasn't as fine as I thought I was. I don't know. Molly still seems fine-ish, but ish.
So tell me, Molly, what it's been like for you to gather up all those court documents and read all those things from the past.
Yeah, I think it's been an interesting process. It kind of started, well, I don't know how it started, but along the way, it came to a point where it felt like we realized there was more to the story. And
it started because the detective found you on Facebook.
Oh, okay. So it started because we've been posting a lot about this thing we're doing for our mom's manuscripts that I'm sure we'll be able to talk about later. But we've been posting about it to try to get traction and share her story and to fundraise to be able to do this project. And a detective who was there that morning, I think he was the first detective there that morning beyond like patrolman. He reached out to me and was like just sharing that he was there and that was a really transformative thing for him, and that our mom had done all that she could do to protect herself, and it wasn't enough. And so I started asking him questions and trying to get more understanding from him. And he's now retired, but pointed me to current local detectives that are still within that unit. And so I'm connected with another person who was there, one of the first patrolmen actually, who was there that morning. He's still in that department. And so the chance to just ask all of these questions that like maybe we did have all along and maybe we didn't know that we had. And so turns out as you ask more questions, you just have more questions. It will never be enough. We're never going to know exactly what happened, and we're never going to be able to fully picture everything, but we have gotten a lot more information. And I will say, to a certain extent, learning more information at this point in my life is a little bit familiar because I was 11 when it happened. And so it wasn't something that was like super openly talked about, the details and how horrific it was and what that experience was like for Jessie and all of those things I was shielded from because I was a child. Jesse's
Right.
kind of like she was only 21, like she was barely an adult. And so having gone through that and not having very many details in the beginning, and over the years I've asked more questions and been able to learn more about what happened, but each time it's actually a really awful thing to learn something new, because
Yes.
you think you know what happened and you've replayed it in your mind. For me now, it's been, I mean, for both of us, it's been 20 years. So for 20 years, we have thought about things happening for a certain way. And over the years, as I've talked to Jessie and I learn new things, it like takes my breath away and it makes me like feel really small for a few days. And it makes you like just want to be cozy and at home and processing. And so over the years, that's happened to me a number of times. But in the last couple of weeks, as we have learned just what a monster my dad was and how frequently he chose to try to usurp power over us and our mom, and in the horrific ways he did that, we're kind of living in that state almost constantly right now as new things are coming up. And so it has been a really challenging couple of weeks, numerous weeks.
Yes.
And last week was actually 20 years for us. It was our mom's. September 10th is the day that she was murdered. And so that was a really difficult time to have a better understanding of how challenging her life was and
Yes.
what she was able to provide for us in the meantime. It's just, I think it's given us even more appreciation for what she provided for us while facing something that she shielded us from. She did honestly a remarkable job. So that has been really sad to learn, but also, just reaffirms what a great mom she was for us.
Yeah, absolutely. I understand, because like this summer, I've been writing and working on, and it had been a long time. I started a book a long time ago. I put it down for a very long time, for years, and this summer I picked it back up and went through all the court documents, which I had everything. I just hadn't read everything in detail. And when I did to do this book, things come up that just smacked me, like I was like, well, I didn't know that and I didn't realize that. And it's been 13 years, like you said. And yeah, and I was finding it just before the anniversary of her passing. It was very hard, but I felt like there was a purpose in reliving it for this moment, because in this moment it's going to all come out to light for some purpose. Again, like you guys are trying to do, a legacy that leaves behind something worthy of that person's life. So I understand the need to go through all that and process it. It's a lot, and a lot of people don't understand how much that is. I imagine it was even harder for y'all because you were children when it all happened. So, but I'm glad you were able to find some validation in some of that, especially for you, Jessie. Yeah.
It's been really good for me to feel like that. I mean, for Molly, she's had this experience multiple times. Like she said, I haven't, because I felt like I was a witness. I thought I was a witness to all of it. I thought I had a pretty good understanding of what happened. Even that morning, like I finally did get into her room and like I had to roll her over and check for a pulse. Like I thought I knew. Is it okay to be graphic? I don't know how graphic you can be
You
on here.
can. Yeah.
Okay. Like in my mind, he shot her like in a panic and left the room. But the detective was telling Molly, like he actually, he shot her 3 times, which I heard all 3. But it sounded kind of like a belt snapping. So I thought he was like slapping her or something.
Mhm.
But the wounds were all contact wounds. So he had the gun pressed to her head all 3 times. And like I was telling Molly, why does that bother me so much? Like he killed her. What difference does it make? But to know that like he already killed her. So why'd you have to do that 3 times? And why'd it have to be touching her? Like, he really wanted to make sure that, number one, he had the power, and number two, that his job was done. You know, he left no chance. And I don't know, for me, it's been shocking to kind of have my narrative shaken up a little bit, and to feel like there's things I didn't really know, or things I remember, but like were somewhere vague in the back of my mind, and then to see it on a court document. Like, I was always afraid that he had raped her before he killed her, because somewhere in the back of my mind there was something like sexually violent that happened, but I didn't know where that thought came from. I didn't know why I thought that. And then just Sunday, Molly found a court document that said, when I was 12, he had pulled her, like tried to pull her pajama pants down and to have a goodbye. And I was like, oh, like I must have heard her tell the police that, or somehow, like, that wasn't just like a made up thought or worry that I had, like something like that had happened. And so it's also been sad for me to realize, like, that poor little girl that, you know, has always been made fun of for being nervous or afraid or anxious or whatever. I'm like, I actually did live in danger like my entire life. And I feel sad that, number one, that we lived like that my mom lived like that. But number two, that I didn't know that what I was experiencing was normal for my life. You know, like, of course I have anxiety. Of course I worry. And so it's been sad and validating to realize, like, that things were actually really bad. Like, it was actual abuse, not just abuse. Like, I like to think, like, was it not? I don't know. And I'm like, oh no, it actually was. And it's Molly, before Molly started getting all these documents, her dad has 2 other kids that are older than me. They were grown by the time my mom came into the picture. And Molly's had a really interesting, strained relationship with them. We didn't really know his family. We didn't spend time with them. I think I could count on one hand the number of times I met his parents or his kids or whatever. And so Molly reached out to them, just kind of asking clarifying questions like, hey, I'm trying to heal. I'm trying to figure things out. You know, what do you remember growing up as a kid? Was he abusive to your mom? Was he, you know, did you notice any of these patterns beforehand? Just trying, you know, she has all these big questions and all these huge holes, like grandparent, like she doesn't know the names of people in her family, you know? And so she's reaching, asking for help. And from the sister, it was when she's ready to have a relationship, then maybe she's willing to share the information. Like, she just won't give Molly the information.
When I'm ready to have a relationship with her, then she will then grant me that information.
So she holds it as another,
trying to control and manipulate the situation.
oh my gosh. And then same with the brother. He said, you know, I'll give you this information if it's for you, but there's no need to make him a public monster. You know, what's done is done. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, it's not ending. Now, like, we're still trying to be controlled in this narrative of, like, things weren't that bad, or it was it was an isolated whatever, he just couldn't take it, or whatever it is. And I'm like, no, you don't get to control how we talk about him, which up until this point, we actually haven't. We haven't shared his name. We haven't brought up that he had other kids. We haven't made him a monster in any way at all. But at this point in the game, having somebody still trying to silence us, as cliche as that sounds. I'm like, no, you don't get to do that to us anymore. You can't say we can have the information if we keep it quiet. Like, I refuse to be quiet about it anymore. And I refuse to allow myself to be manipulated or to question, like, should I feel bad for these people? Should I, they went through something too or whatever. I'm like, no, what you're doing is actually wrong. And I don't give us the information. So then Molly just requested the information, the court documents for the information she was asking them for. I'm like, fine, don't give us the information. We'll get in another way. But I'm like, I cannot participate in this cycle with anybody else.
Absolutely. So were there any, this is just something like I ended up getting all the court documents from all the women he previously abused, which was very enlightening. Have you guys done that as well? Did you see if there was anything before, Mom?
Yeah, I looked into his relationship with his first wife, their mom, and it sounds like it was volatile in their relationship as well. But for some reason, she got to get away, and our mom didn't.
Yes, but usually it's because it's usually a pattern of escalation with that perpetrator. They feel emboldened with the next relationship and the next relationship. I mean, my daughter was number 8. So there were 7 other women who were able to get away from him, and mine couldn't. So they become more emboldened. So there's probably a whole bunch of women in the background that you guys aren't even aware of, girlfriends from the past and everything. This has probably gone on quite some time. What a previous podcast guest we had about a month or 2 ago was talking about that they're serial abusers. Like we have, serial rapists and serial killers, that they're some men are a type of serial abuser, and we don't recognize that as a society. We really don't put a claim on that, and it's one of the things I'm hoping people start really realizing, and throw that out there and make people realize that this is a definite, it's more than a pattern when they hit this stage. It's something that's not going to be corrected. If they have it in multiple relationships, they are a serial abuser. And usually that you don't correct a serial murderer or serial rapist. There's no correcting that behavior. So if you're in that kind of relationship, you've got to get out, as soon as you can. Don't even, when you're dating, don't even entertain that relationship. So,
I
yeah.
think the tricky thing is, though, that we've struggled with in our minds is, well, number one, like our mom did try to leave and it doesn't work, sometimes. Not to scare people from trying to leave, but I'm like, but also I feel like, I don't know, I'm like, if you're a serial killer, like it's obvious you killed someone, that's really black and white, someone died. But if you abuse somebody, like, I don't know that what he was doing it's not like everybody takes it seriously or understands what you're trying to say when someone is abusive, because it can mean so many different things. It can feel so different. So if you're not walking around with black and blue eyes,
Right.
I don't know that you get the help or the understanding that you maybe need to get out. Like abuse looks so different for everybody that it's difficult to pinpoint or to even know if you deserve or qualify for help, or if you need help, or if it's like in my mom's case, she was the most no nonsense person that you could imagine on the planet. And she let him back, and so I'm like, even in her mind, she's like, I'm assuming, wondering if, maybe he changed. Maybe it's not that bad or what. I don't know. I don't know what she was
There's
exactly
a
thinking.
million reasons that go through a mother's brain with that. I know mine had to do a lot with, and I can imagine this was probably part of the reason because of Molly's age, was I would have to share custody with this person. And then I'm not there to protect my children if something happens.
And she worked
I
for DHS.
stayed. Yeah, I stayed for a lot longer than I would have and didn't leave till my children were teenagers because at least then I felt like we had conversations. If something would happen, they would tell me at that point. But before that, when they were younger, you couldn't have gotten me to leave for anything because I was too fearful something would happen and I wouldn't be there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I imagine, and there was a lot of other reasons thrown in there too, but that was the biggest one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we've been talking so much, I've forgotten about our mid break. We're going to do a mid break here. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the manuscript. And
Okay.
so real quick, we're having in October a somatic healing retreat. It's virtual. We're going to play a small clip real quick for you about the retreat, and we'll be right back with Jessie and Molly.
Are you feeling completely drained, so tired of being on all the time, of constantly pushing through? That exhaustion is more than mental. Your body is holding on to stress as deep physical tension. It's time to give yourself permission to let go. Join our Rest and Restore virtual somatic healing retreat October 10th and 11th. Through guided breathwork, meditation, and EFT tapping, you'll learn to release what no longer serves you, all from the comfort of your home. As you heal, you'll also raise crucial funds for Break the Silence, supporting vital programs for domestic violence survivors. Find the details at the link in our bio. It's time to stop performing rest and start to truly restore your mind, body, and spirit. Are you feeling completely drained, so tired of being on all?
There we go. We're back. All right. So definitely check out the links in the description in the comment sections. Attend the retreat. It is 2 days, but it's only for a few hours each day. You can attend one day or the other. All the details are there in the link, so check it out. So now that we are back, so Jessie and Molly, tell me how you found your mother's writings.
I wish it was a great story. I feel like we found at some point, I don't even remember, there was multiple stages of going through stuff. Everything went to a storage unit, and then everything came to my house, and then there were garage sales and whatever. So at some point in her linen closet, towel-y stuff, I found a manila envelope that had the manuscripts in it, and they were dated in 1985.
I think it's like 4 through 7.
Okay. There's fun little, she circled little magazine entry forms. She had cover letters and different places she was sending them or wanting to send them to in New York. I don't know if she actually sent anything. So there were 8 on her typewriter. You can tell that it was a typewriter. There's 8 manuscripts that were just stuck in there. And everything that the movers packed came from their spot. So it was marked linen closet. So it was somewhere hidden in her linen closet for however many years. And then, I don't know, we saw it and was like, oh, cool. And then put it back or whatever for a number of years. And I think at some point, maybe 8 years ago or something, we pulled them out we should do something with these. But then it's we don't know what to do with these. And so we stuck them back they're still in their original envelope. We stuck them back in, tucked them away in her bin. And I don't know, I think last year as part of, I feel like in particular, I've been on a very intense healing journey the last couple of years. And I think as part of that, it was let's do something for real. That's now or never. My kids are getting kind of they're kind of past the age of actually, I mean, they'll enjoy reading them because there's a story attached to it. But Molly's kids are really young. And so it's like, it's now or never. It's going to be too late. Like our kids are going to be too old and the moment will have passed. So we've really been on a mission to get this done in a reasonable amount of time at this point so that our kids can read them before they're grown up.
Yes, that's amazing. So what kind of things was she writing?
I mean, I think she was known to be someone who enjoyed writing all throughout her life. So this particular manila envelope holds like these 8 children's stories. Some of them are connected, some of them are just one-offs. But throughout her life, she was known as someone who enjoyed writing. I talked to my grandpa about it before he died, and he said, oh, that was always her dream, was to be an author. And we just recently did a benefit concert in our mom's honor since it was 20 years. And we were able to reconnect with a lot of people who knew her that we don't really know, like high school friends and people who knew her at different times in her life. And those friends have even said, oh, I know she loved to write and things like that. And so that has been really meaningful to hear that this was actually a lifelong dream. And so I just was going through, I have a bin of things from growing up, and I have a thing of her poetry and her calligraphy and things like that. And so it's just been really special to see that she maintained this dream, that she never gave up on it, despite life kind of passing her by a little bit, missing those opportunities to do it when it was more feasible. And obviously now she can't do it herself. And so we want to do this for her. It's like one thing that we can do for her after all that she did for us.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. So what did it feel like reading what she had wrote? I can imagine my daughter wrote. I desperately went looking for the stuff she wrote, but I discovered he burned it all. So I never got to get it back and read it. But what was it like, just like emotionally, to be able to read her words and see that?
I would say her writing was really, it just reminds us of her. There's like some really witty lines and some really funny connections that she makes and some tender things that happen in these stories. And so it holds true to like her nature and who she was to us as a mom. As we've looked through some of these things, Jessie's found old notes that she wrote her, like directly to Jessie when she goes to college, and things like that have been her writing to us. And that has been, I think, really special to just see her coming through in these manuscripts and in our memories and in these letters. It's been a really tender thing to be able to experience after all these years.
Right. Right. Well, how do you see this project going for y'all? I know it's going to be honoring her, but is it just that for y'all? Are you hoping to raise awareness about what happened to her? What is your goal for the project?
I think in our dream of dreams, yeah, we would raise awareness. We would share her story. I feel like we both feel pretty passionate that we didn't even know we had a story to share because our domestic violence didn't look like yours and yours didn't look like so-and-so's. And so we didn't really know that we belonged in this, or that she belonged in this category. And so I think that's been important reason to share, is that just because it doesn't maybe look like what you saw on TV doesn't mean that what you're experiencing isn't real or valid. But also I feel like it honors her. It's really special to be able to do something that she would have wanted to do. It's empowering for our kids. They're excited to watch the process move along. Particularly my oldest daughter loves to write. And so she's really invested in how it's going and stuff like that. But I also feel like it honors Molly and I and our lives and who we are and what we've done, even with the past that we've had. I feel like we've dedicated our lives to be cycle breakers and to not become our story, like I don't know, like our life could have looked really differently. And I feel like we've been really intentional to make it look different than statistically it maybe should have. And I feel like there's a lot of hope and power in that no matter where you are in this moment, it doesn't necessarily have to define where you go from there. So I don't know.
I also just really like that he doesn't get the last word. I don't know, like she's still a really big part of our life, and the people around us have grown to love her and know of her. And there are people who are rooting for this project to be really successful because of who she was, both in her life, but also in the lives that we've continued to live on. And so we plan to publish all the stories separately, rather than like consolidating them into one book. So we're going to start with one of them. It's actually about Jessie, a little girl named Jessie, and her magic carpet ride. And so we're working on that one right now. We have an illustrator that we're excited about and are moving forward. So right now, I think it will be an endless fundraising game. It's expensive to do this yourself. And
Yes.
we really chose to do it ourselves because then we retain a lot more of like the creative rights, and we can ensure that it's our mom's work that gets put out there, not and maybe as it would have been in the 80s if she had the time and the ability to do it back then. So we're working hard to make sure that it really honors our mom.
Yes, that's beautiful. I'm positive that she's that's just a beautiful legacy to leave her. So as we're wrapping up, what message do you hope children or families take away when they read your mom's books?
I just hope they have fun.
Yeah, I just hope they enjoy it. We read to our kids. Well, our mom read to us. I got 3 books a night. I don't know what Molly got, but I got 3 books a night in her bed. I read 3 books to my kids. I know Molly reads 3 to. So here's the magic number. But I think it was just a really big part of our life. And then as we got older, she always was reading novels or whatever. So I just hope it's something families can bond over, a positive experience that a family can share.
Agreed. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just something that we love and something that would have meant a lot, I know, for her and for our family. I mean, both of her parents are gone now. She has her 3 sisters still. And so I think it will be really meaningful for our circles. But I also just hope that we make it big, and that people get invested and that everybody's buying her books because they're good books,
Right.
That's really what I think our end goal is to share about her story and help other people, and just to let her be an author and like have her own merit as an author, not just because this was her story. She was more than her story, as is everybody.
As we all are. Yeah, I feel like personally, the interactions with Molly's siblings, right? I think it was 2 weeks ago or something like that. And I was like, it really fired up something in me that the stages of grief. I'm like,
Yes.
I truly thought I didn't have anger. I was like, I don't know why people get mad about stuff. I'm fine. And people say, you're so strong. And I'm like, I know. But now I think for the first time, I'm like, oh no, I actually am angry. And you telling me that I'm supposed to be quiet about this makes me feel like I refuse
Yeah.
And so for me, I feel like I'm on this new mission to like, I don't ever want to be quiet again. I've spent my entire life trying to make it easy for everybody, trying to follow the rules. In the past, if they asked us not to share publicly, I would have been like, oh, we're going to get in trouble, or oh, they don't want us to. And I'm like, all the more reason
Yeah.
to want to say it louder. And so I feel like when Molly found out this information, I was like, I refuse to be silent. And Molly's like, that's the name of the podcast we're going to be on. Stop
Taking the silence. Yes.
Yeah, I'm like, no, you cannot ask us to be quiet about this. We're not going to share the books and not share the story, or we're not going to share that she died and not share what led up to that. I'm like, you don't get to control that part of it anymore. Like that part is done.
Well, it's not just your mom's story, it's your story. So they can't take that from you, what you experienced. It's yours. And that's one of I've had lots of people over the years, loving people who I love. Oh, I wish I could take that pain for you. No, you don't. And I don't want you to. It's mine. It's mine because I wouldn't have the love if you took the pain, so you can't have it. And you can't have my words and you can't have my voice, right? So, her experience, I get to be her voice, but you can't take mine. My experience was even different than hers as we went along. So, no, it's a part of a healing journey, and you cycle through that cycle of grief many times. You do. But I tell people all the time, it's good when I use my voice, because a lot of people are like, are you still telling that? Yes, I am. But the thing is, it's like having a wound that just never heal, right? And for me, being able to speak about it is like ripping off the Band-Aid, cleaning it really good, and putting a new Band-Aid on it. And the wound gets a little smaller. It gets a little more healed every time, and that's my process. So nobody, don't let anybody take that from you. No, you speak it out. So the last thing I'm going to ask you is, if your mom was here with you, what do you think she'd say to you too? Each one of you individually. About the book, about what you're doing, about using your voice. What would you think your mom would say to you personally?
Yeah, and that's tricky. The funny side of me wants to say, she wouldn't want the attention. She'd probably want us to stop talking about her books or her whatever, because she wasn't a flashy person. But going back to like one of the letters Molly was referencing, I think she also was our biggest cheerleaders, and she knew that we had the potential for good things, and I think better things than what she had. And she kind of acknowledged that in the letter that she wrote me for college. So I hope she would be proud. She wasn't a gushy mom. She wouldn't have said, I'm so proud of you. But she also really stood beside us in anything that we chose to do. So I imagine she would be standing right alongside us with this.
Yeah, I feel like just the way that she lived her life was really selfless. I think she knew that it was going to end this way, and so she stayed as long as she possibly could. The first incident Jessie talked about was when I was 2, and she died when I was 11, and so there was certainly a lot going on in those years. And so that's one of the things that has remained really present for me, is how selfless she was. And so, to be honest, I don't even think she would spend her time talking about herself in these books. I think it would be like affirming love and wishing that she was here and things like that. Like, I don't even think that she would spend her time on a self-serving project like these books. I think she would focus her energy elsewhere, which feels true to who she was, but we're going to focus our energy on her books and her words and things like that because she didn't and she wouldn't have.
Mm-hmm. No, in a way, she kind of left behind something that gave you a goal to move forward. Um, she wouldn't have done it herself, but you doing it for her is a beautiful thing. So that's good. That's really good. Wonderful. So tell us a little bit more. Do you have any way where people can look up the books, or do you have a website or anything going right now for that?
Yeah, right now we're in the fundraising stage, so our primary thing. I mean, we just finished that benefit concert that I mentioned, so we did have a big website up for that. But right now we're just fundraising for the books and working kind of quietly along with our process. We do have an Instagram where we're working on like public or keeping everybody updated. And so her last name was Bartholomew. And so we have the handle on Instagram is Barty Books, Barty.
Oh, wonderful. Yes,
Yeah.
check that
So,
out. And we'll be
yeah.
sure the links are in the descriptions and everything so people can check that out. Absolutely. Have you thought about doing some like pre-sales when you're ready?
We don't know what we're doing. We're just two sisters who are.
You'll have to keep us up to date because that's kind of the thing I'm debating is like, okay, when I get to a certain point, am I going to do some pre-sales to help? And then, how am I going to do it? So I'm in that same boat, y'all.
I love the idea.
Yeah, so follow them on the Instagram and keep up with it. Absolutely. Absolutely. Wonderful. Well, I thank you both for being here so much. It was good to hear about your mom and what you guys are doing to bring your family some healing, right? And keep moving forward for your next generations, right? So, I'm going to tell our followers out there legacies don't end when a life is taken, they live on in the people who love them. And sometimes the very words of the one who's gone can be such a blessing. So, Jill Bartholomew may have lived to see not lived to see the manuscripts published, but her daughters are definitely keeping that story alive and continue to be her voice. And for every family out there who's been touched by domestic violence, uh, remember your story is a reminder that even in tragedy, there is light. You are here. Your families are here. And even though that person is gone and been silenced, you can be their voice. And to our listeners, never forget that your story really matters. So, just to let everybody know, to remind them, on Fridays we do our Survivor to Survivor segment at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, where we answer real questions from survivors just like you. So if you have a question, you can send it to me in an email at podcast@breakthesilencedv.org. And I'd love to hear from you. Also, don't miss our new special that we're doing on TikTok called the Narc Diaries. So we have a new episode of the Narc Diaries on TikTok every Wednesday and Sunday, where we discuss from everybody out there your stories of what your narcissist said to you. And I share them anonymously, but some of the things your narcissist says, oh my goodness. I can't even. So just join us together. And that's at BTSADV7 on TikTok. We are definitely trying to grow that so we can start going live over on TikTok. So please join us because we want to do some survivor panels and discussions over there in TikTok. So help us by following us for sure. And next time, I see you. Definitely stay informed and stay connected with all of us. Most of all, stay empowered. And we'll see you next week on Through the Eyes of Survivors. We hope you're enjoying this episode of Through the Eyes of Survivors. We wanted to pause for a moment and let you know that Through the Eyes of Survivors has a shop now open. And this is a great way for you to not only help survivors of domestic violence, but also let everyone know that you will not be silent about this important cause. From t-shirts to bags to coffee mugs, we have so much to choose from. To grab your swag, head to our store at breakthesilencedv.org. That's store.breakthesilencedv.org. We can't say enough about how much we appreciate all that the community does to help support us and this organization. So we hope you've enjoyed this episode and continue to